The sun's heat permeated Evelyn's body, and her muscles practically melted in response. Yet her pleasure was marred by the faint annoyance she always felt when laying on a beach. Oh, how she wished she could tan reasonably. But she'd learned long ago that she had two states, pasty and burnt. That was why she'd purchased the earrings that kept her from burning, but it didn't help with the pastiness. She was surrounded by the sound of waves crashing on the shore, which dampened the laughter of other beachgoers, including loudly shrieking children. They were shrieks of delight, Evelyn corrected herself, and some of them came from irritatingly close by. Evelyn cracked an eyelid, glancing toward the spot where the sounds were coming from, and let out a soft sigh. At least they weren't congregating around her. Brienne's beaches were lovely, with white sand and surf that was a nigh unnaturally clear blue-green. An aspect of why she decided that a vacation here was a good idea. After they'd finished selling off some of their acquisitions from the Sene space station, of course. Better yet, none of the locals seemed to have realized who Evelyn was, which made her happy. Why, all of the others had drawn more attention than her, but none more than Fia, though Venirith and Zelarana came close. Illyra was laying next to Evelyn on a towel, sunning herself as well, and Evelyn thought that the fair Celestine was on the verge of burning, and would burn if she wasn't careful. If she did, it would be a good opportunity for Illyra to practice her healing magic, so Evelyn wasn't going to stop her. More important was what Fia and Nadia were doing. Located about 24 meters away, the djinn and dark-haired human child were working together on a sand castle, and not any type of castle that Evelyn had seen before. The sand changed colors at Fia's whim, and the curtain wall rose a good 2 meters in the air, with the gatehouse large enough for a child to crawl through. There was also a miniature waterfall made of sand flowing out of a section of the castle, formed to look like a mountainside, the sand the color of water, while the other parts of the castle were brightly colored. As Evelyn watched, Nadia pointed at the roof of the palace, and the green-haired djinn nodded, changing the roof to be bright red in an instant. All around them, dozens of children squealed in excitement, staring at the intricate sandcastle. It wasn't just children who were interested, of course. Plenty of adults were watching as well, and Evelyn couldn't help a tiny shake of her head. Fia just had to show off. She noticed that Cheris was watching them nervously as well, which only made sense. Nadia's mother was as far or farther out of her depth as Nadia was, and despite having gotten implants and begun learning modern languages, she was likely lost in the complexity of the conversation surrounding her. That, and she knew more about Ginny, which wasn't necessarily a good thing, as Fia wasn't a typical example of her species. Also nearby were the rest of the women currently crewing Evelyn's ship. Venirith got a good deal of attention simply because she had a glowing gold halo revealing that she was an angel, though otherwise she looked like a beautiful blonde-haired and blue-eyed human. Nearby was Zelarana, a succubus, complete with tail, black feathered wings, black hair, and deep blue eyes. Compared to them, Moon and Star weren't nearly as eye-catching, though the redhead humans drew plenty of attention with their vivid blue eyes and attractive physiques. Of course, the fact that all of them were wearing bikinis for the visit to the beach didn't help. And the four were playing volleyball with a quartet of young humans and elves, with both a boy and girl of each. The other team was losing, likely due to losing focus whenever Zelarana jumped. Playing with a succubus was unfair that way. Evelyn was surprised that none of them were playing in the surf or swimming, but she wasn't going to argue with them, even if she had rented a couple of water-breathing necklaces for them. Maybe they would later, but it really didn't matter. She supposed she could have just used a couple of items out of her own supplies for the ocean, but that would have meant finding the crate holding them. Renting the necklaces was cheap anyway. She stretched, letting out a soft, happy grunt as her back popped and Evelyn relaxed. There really wasn't much more relaxing than a day at the beach in her opinion, and she pondered whether she should go buy a nice fruity drink from a nearby stand. It'd probably be alcoholic, but it wasn't like anything local could get her drunk. Of course, that was the moment when she got a message from the ship, prompting Evelyn's back to stiffen. "Captain, I'm picking up traffic from planetary control. 24 assault shuttles have taken off from the surface without authorization, and none of them from military bases."
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.